Wow.
Wow, this is some really deep stuff.
I don't know what just happened, but something happened inside of me. Something snapped, something.
I wasn't expecting that
either. Sorry.
It's okay. It's all right. It's beautiful.
Monster is like really small, but it had to become that to stop me.
And then the hurt child became present when you mentioned it.
And I didn't realize this until now.
There were things that I didn't remember until now.
Funny. I haven't seen that before.
It feels like I'm the monster. I'm kind of seeing images of things. Of a world where they can exist. This clarity brings all kinds of answers.
It's clear. She hugged me and then went back to her place, I guess, in my heart. Oh, it wants to come out. It wants to bippity boppity boop Cinderella me. She's melted into my chest. It's ooey gooey.
All week been finishing things, cleaning up more, started eating vegetables again last week. And it kind of just started happening. It's almost like I just finished going through a meditation session.
I feel light. When you hit that first joint, in the morning, and
I actually feel a lot more awake.
I could jump right into it, but I'd love to hear anything you want to chat about, if there's anything.
Yeah, I think I have lots on my mind just about working with you and how and what and why and all that.
Yeah. Sure, right.
So I think I'm just thinking about, I think the biggest thing that I don't want to jeopardize is my current relationship with you and how I get to work with you.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's my number one concern about, switching seats.
Yeah. Yeah. And do you have any idea of how that would become jeopardized or any specific concerns?
I don't think too specific. I guess, I don't know.
Yeah, just that would be an unwanted outcome.
Yeah. What about you? Do you have any thoughts about that or anything?
I definitely share that sentiment. I really value and enjoy having worked with you as a practitioner, and that guidance is really helpful and supportive.
Mm-hmm.
So my intention is to definitely keep that going as long as it's offered and as long as it's possible.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess in my view, switching seats like this, my hope is that would only strengthen any other work we do together.
Yeah, it could.
Yeah. Yeah, and I trust so far that both of us are able to speak for our parts and not personalize any sort of concerns or worries, and be able to talk through them, work through them. So, yeah, mostly I'm just excited for the opportunity to get more practice in, and especially with someone who's been doing this a lot longer than I have.
Yeah. It should be fun. I'm thinking about like what parts to share doing IFS, and I don't want to jump in too deep, and I also want to look out for making it too easy, because sometimes I can do that. I think people who have done it a lot, or they can kind of make it too easy.
Yeah.
I look at my list of parts to explore, and if I spend 10 minutes looking at that list, it's like in that time I will have already, it's like I'll just work with that part right now, and okay, that's solved. So so that's another thing that I'm working on, just trying to think about what to share, where to go.
Yeah, there's lots of different ways to go about that. And sometimes when I feel unsure about which part to start with or what's the right depths, and I think dropping into what's here now and exploring that a little bit, and doesn't necessarily mean you need to move towards anything that's up currently, but I think that that's always a really great place to start and check in, even just with yourself.
Yeah, I think you're right. A couple other things. You are excited to have opportunity to practice. And we've both set an intention to, or at least we're open to publishing if it feels right. I guess I wonder, I guess I wonder how it would feel to you if I choose not to publish.
Oh, yeah. Great question. That would also feel perfectly good. I think of publishing as like a separate added bonus, and I would only want to publish something that all parties on the call were feeling good about publishing. I think that's most important to me, that anyone on the call would be, that both of us would feel comfortable enough or feel good enough to want to put that out there. And if there was any question around that, I don't think that publishing is of the utmost importance here, I think it's great, but it's not the root reason of doing this, at least for me.
Okay. Well, I hope you'll tell me if we continue to work together, and if it ever does not feel so valuable to you, that you'll be able to say that.
Yeah. I have, I've really had to sharpen that skill over the years of how to deliver hard truths or controversial opinions. And I do think it's something that I can do very well, and I trust myself to do that.
Okay.
And same on your end. If you're not finding benefit in it, then yeah, I would love for you to speak for that too.
Okay.
Anything
Thanks.
else coming up?
No, just wanted to
Yeah.
address some of that kind of
Yeah, thank
administrative
you.
stuff.
I think that's great. Good clarity.
Yeah.
And I definitely wouldn't want to have you make it too easy for me. But also, yeah.
It wouldn't be deliberate. It's just there are, so like, I have the deeper things and the not so deep things. And I feel like I would get to the deeper things in the future. And yeah. And then the not so deep things. Yeah, sometimes they can be pretty just straightforward, and I don't know. I find myself when I'm working with a practitioner, when I'm client, a lot of times even by the time I've like shown up for the call, I've already kind of thought it through and figured it out and done the parts work, and I'm just, I'm just showing up out of kind of because it's on the calendar. It's like I still appreciate, and that didn't happen today, but it has, and I still appreciate like, well, I'm glad I had a meeting so that I did this.
Right.
But by the time that it's time for the meeting, I don't need to do this.
Yeah, the meeting acted as a good reminder to go to those parts and served a good purpose there. And then maybe there's some benefit in recounting the work that you did on your own. Yeah, I'm open to all of it. Whatever's useful for you in this time.
Okay. Well, how do you like to start your sessions?
Yeah. I don't have a set way. I think I generally go about it a little differently depending on the client and our dynamic or how it's feeling. And for this call, I remember something that you had said in one of our sessions together. Maybe it was a little bit of a riff of both of us, but something along the lines of who needs our being with today. And I like that. Yeah.
Good one.
It is. Yeah. So that's the question that comes to mind now is there anyone that needs our being with?
Okay. Yeah. Give me a minute to explore.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. I think I have two.
Right.
Okay. One is kind of a mystery, and I'm trying to figure it out. I've done some parts work around it, but not much. And that is, that I would say for the past maybe like 6 months, I am waking up at 4 and 5 in the morning. Earlier than I want to be waking up. It's not a night. It's not enough sleep. And yeah, half the time I find a way to stay in bed for another hour or two. And then the other half the time I'm like, well, I'm up, and I get up and then I'm not very rested for the day. So that is something I could explore. And then the other is, well, it might be more vague. And maybe more problem solvery, which is, so I'm going to Vietnam in like 7 weeks or something.
Yeah.
And I kind of have this feeling, and it's happened the other times I've traveled, where like I must be doing it wrong, like the planning, and that there's no amount of planning that I could ever feel like it's good or good enough planned, that I must be forgetting something. And no matter how many times I'm like, okay, well, let's get out a piece of paper or whatever, I'm keeping track. I got here's what I need to do every week on my calendar. And sometimes I'll look at it and it's like it's too easy or something. I'm like, there has to be something that I'm ignoring, and that's going to blow up and be a big disaster. So
yeah,
that's that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as you're recounting both of those, did one feel more prominent in your body?
I don't know that one feels more prominent in my body. The thing about the waking up early is it's only there when it's there, and like, you know, ask me how I feel about it at 5 a.m. You know, so that one's a little bit distant, but it is almost every day. So like, I kind of feel like I know it pretty well, but it's not like, yeah, by the time I'm up, it's not actively a problem or a sensation that I'm having. So it would require a little more plumbing the depths of, the past experience.
Whereas kind of must be.
I can be freaking out about what I'm going to forget on my trip any time of day.
Right. Yeah. That one seems a little bit closer to reach out to. Yeah. Yeah. What feels right to you?
Let's go with the waking up early.
Great.
Okay.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is, for the last 6 months or so, around 4 or 5 in the morning, you wake up automatically.
Sometimes
not
it'll
because
be even earlier. It'll be 2:30 sometimes, and I'm like,
okay,
it's morning, and I'm just like fully ready to jump out of bed.
Got it.
This is all a very new experience for me. I've always been a good sleeper, and never really had a problem staying in bed. But yeah,
sure, yeah, staying asleep until you're rested and ready to get up. And this waking up for the last 6 months is before the time that you're fully rested, before you're ready to start the day. But a part of you feels very ready to start the day at that time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
When it comes, then I feel like I'm ready to jump out of bed, and I have to look at the clock 3 times and be like, wait a minute, this isn't the right time. And I have to like talk myself into going back to sleep because the energy is like ready to go.
Yeah. Yeah. It's ready to hit the road.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's okay to just turn inwards a little bit more and see if you can access that feeling of, let's start the day. Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get up.
Yep.
Yeah. How do you notice that in your body?
I don't know that I have much specific, just feeling ready. Just it's all over, kind of just ready feeling. I don't know that it has a very pinpoint location or anything. Maybe like my chest or heart, ready to seize the day feeling.
Yeah. And sometimes it's less sensational and more cerebral, right? Like the sentiments and the statements, the thoughts.
No, it's energy. It's body energy ready to go.
Okay.
I don't wake up thinking like, oh, it's not thoughts about like, here's what's on my to-do list. It's
Got it.
Just
the body's ready to get up.
It's a physical, yeah. But there is some like urgency. It's like, well, now's the time. Physically feeling.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And how do you feel towards that?
How do I feel towards it? Well, I'm confused by it. I would like to know it better. I don't understand what it's about. I have done some parts work with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So occasionally it'll happen and I'll feel ready, and then I'll be like, okay, do IFS. And then I'll try to say, okay, part that's ready, welcome. And I'll try to be curious, but I haven't gotten information, but I am able to like, okay, well, I see you there, and it's okay if we go back to sleep.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the closest I've done to anything that's like parts work with it.
Yeah. And that kind of confused, would like to know more. Does it feel like an open curiosity with some confusion, or is there any frustration in that confusion?
Yeah, I would say open curiosity. Perhaps there's a part of me that is pessimistic or cynical, that will be able to figure anything out, or that there is even anything to figure out. Like,
I
have a part that's like, this isn't. Yeah, I have a part saying, yeah, you're just old. That's what happens.
Let's welcome that part. Welcome that part. Absolutely.
Okay.
Let it know that we're here to understand its view as well.
Yeah.
And so it's saying there's no bigger message.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. What else is it saying?
That's about it. There's no bigger message. And I guess also a hint of, and that'll be disappointing, but that's minor.
Okay. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And does it have any concerns with us checking that out with the waking up part?
No, just those. Just those.
Okay. And
Oh
does it
yeah.
feel?
I guess the concern is, okay, let's say, yeah, okay, I'm speaking for this part. So let's say it's not so much parts related, and maybe I don't know, I have energy, and this is what time of day I want to get up. I don't know, my body gets up. Um, I guess there's a concern that the two of us with our IFS hats on would uh, make more of something where there isn't.
Right. Got it. Yeah. Create
Get
something.
carried away with.
Yeah. 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 I want to thank that part for bringing that up and just let that part know that my intention is to really understand the waking up part, not to put any ideas in its head or create something where there's nothing, but truly just to see what is there. And maybe that's no big reason.
Okay.
Maybe, but it's
So,
really, yeah, go ahead.
So this part wants me to ask you if you're going to be disappointed if there's no big reason.
Yeah. Yeah. Great question. No.
Okay.
Because if this part is willing to step back, and it doesn't have to, but if it is willing to let us get to know the waking up part, we've succeeded. The getting to know is the part that's important to me. And the result of that is that part will feel heard and understood. And that's what matters.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have another message that I'm sending this part.
I'd love to hear it.
Which is kind of like, okay, it's also okay. Kind of all data is good data message. And it's like, okay, well, if there's nothing there, there's nothing there. And great.
Yeah. Yeah. Good information. Absolutely. How does that part feel hearing that?
Better. Just thanking us and you for acknowledging it.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here. You can let it know it can pop in anytime if it sees us creating something where it's not, or
okay, it'll keep an eye out.
Yeah, great. I appreciate that. How does it feel to turn back towards the waking up part now? How are you noticing it?
Okay. Yeah, same as I was saying before. Have to kind of try to remember it, and mostly what I'm getting is, yeah, just kind of all over body ready. But again, with some kind of urgency. It's not just like, I am rested now. It's like,
I have to.
I'm rested now.
Yes. Yeah.
And not later. Like, yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. And how are you feeling now towards that?
Curious.
Yeah, me too. So you could let it know that you're curious. That if it would like to notice you, that you're open to that. If that feels right. Yeah, it's noticing you.
Yeah.
What does it think about you being here, being curious?
It's good. It's good with that. It likes that.
Yeah. And does this part want to tell you a little bit about its job?
Yes.
About what it's doing?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is saying that good / important things only happen in the morning.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Good and important things only happen in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Does it want to say more about that, or?
Well, I guess just to give you some context, I would say that there is some truth to that, in that I do kind of stack my mornings with, like, yeah, my most important habits and my most important work. So I do have this kind of mindset of, like, winning the day before lunch, and everything after that is just a bonus. If I can accomplish anything after that, that's great.
Okay. And
So that, yeah.
I'm guessing that's after learning maybe your energy patterns, or when you have the most focus, things like that.
Yep. And playing around with different sleep schedules and different daily schedules for years now, adjusting and tweaking them. And so, yeah, there's definitely some truth to that.
Yeah. Okay. So you can let it know that you see why it would feel that way and why it's saying that. That most of our good and important things do happen in the mornings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What else would it like to share with you?
Well, this might not sound different from the last bit, but that there's not enough time in the mornings for important things, which also totally makes sense, has truth to that too. With a lot of my daily and weekly habits, I have this kind of, okay, I'll put all the amazing stuff is supposed to happen in this part of the day or the week, and then when it rolls around, I can't do all of that.
Right. When the mornings are only so long.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And to me that sounds different than the last one. So yeah, I just want to thank that part for elaborating a little bit. Some good and important things are happening in the morning, and that there's also maybe been this experience of not having enough time to get all of those important things done.
Yeah. Energy.
Yeah. Time and energy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's that felt like for this part?
Well, it's felt really good, in the way that, so I used to wake up really feeling shitty, like, every day, for a couple years. And it took me a long time to figure it out. I kind of documented it throughout the podcast, in notes and such, of, like, and I had to do a lot to try to figure that out. And I think that is well behind me now. So there is kind of a celebratory feeling of, like, hey, we feel good when we wake up now. So get up and start running, you know? Yeah.
Yeah.
The pendulum's kind of swung, like, mornings used to be really, really hard, and I felt bad for 2 hours after waking up, to now I'm feel 100% ready, and to the point of don't bother sleeping.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm curious to know if this waking up part would be open to a question from me.
Of course.
I'd love to understand more about its relationship to the waking up feeling shitty part.
Okay. Well, I'm pretty sure that was all physical. I think there was something going on with my diet,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, it was something with my diet. To be more detailed, I think it was a histamine kind of thing. I was eating at night, was having a bunch of histamine stuff, and then I wake up with like stuffy head and just sick feeling. And when I would not eat, I'd feel great. And now I'm able to eat and feel great.
Great. Okay. So
Yes.
it was a physical feeling shitty, not necessarily emotional.
Yeah.
Got
so
it.
This part is just like, okay, we're free of that that really kind of illness, chronic illness.
Yeah.
We're free of that. So every day that we wake up feeling good, we should be jumping out of bed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it does have
sense.
kind of a Christmas morning feeling. It's like, is it morning yet? Is it morning yet?
Right. Now I can wake up feeling good.
Right.
Yeah. I'm celebrating that as well. It's great.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I am quite sure that I do need more than 4.5, 5 hours of sleep. I know that I always feel better when I get more like 7.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And does that feel like, where's that messaging coming from? I need 7 or 8.
I think that's pretty unanimous in my system. We keep detailed notes, and my days are better all around when I've slept 7 hours or so.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So the waking up part, we understand to believe good and important things are happening in the morning, that this having enough time and energy to get those things done is important. Does it? Oh, go ahead if there's something you
I think there was some insight there around the fact that we're not sick anymore, and that this part needs to be kind of caught up on that.
Right.
And yeah, sometimes it is kind of hard for me to believe when I look at my little journal and I've felt good for weeks. It's like, what? Yeah.
Yeah, so it feels right to share that.
Yeah,
and it would more.
like a way to be kind of more updated on that. It's not just Christmas that we should feel good waking up.
It's not a holiday. It's not a rare occasion.
Right.
This is becoming more of the normal.
Right.
Yeah. How does it take that in?
It's happy about that. I think there might be some grief or something around that.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know. Anytime there's good news, you have to acknowledge, why is this good news? Oh, because of how long it was bad news.
It's an adjustment. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an adjustment. If this part believed that waking up and feeling clear-headed and good physically and feeling able was more of a rare holiday-like occasion, and that's when it's reality.
Uh-huh.
This new update is probably a little bit of an adjustment to take in.
Yes. I have a part that wants to throw in one more detail that might be relevant.
Great, yeah.
Which is maybe there's some concern or grief also around the fact that we don't actually know what we did to change anything. Even though I took the most detailed notes imaginable for years.
Sure.
It just kind of went away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that there's some kind of discomfort around that, or maybe some disbelief around that.
Yeah, and also kind of grief. It's like, damn, what, am I crazy? Or that's not fair.
That like, it would just go
I
away.
put so much energy into like trying to figure this out, and then it just figured itself out.
Yeah, so it had kind of a different idea of how that was going to go, how that problem was going to be solved.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't expect that it would drop away, seemingly drop away. Yeah.
But it happened after my second trip to Vietnam. I know. And now I just feel like I'm talking to my physical doctor now, but there are some really interesting details that are relevant, I think, to this part, and of like, yeah. Anyway.
That's okay. I'd love to hear. I'd love to hear the relevance.
Oh, that's the only information I have.
Oh, okay.
So I guess I just wanted to put a bow on it. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's all still a mystery. But anyway, yeah, I'm definitely getting a little off topic.
It might be a little bit of a mystery, but it also sounds like parts chiming in to update this waking up at 2, 3, 4 part as to the differences of what waking up feels like now versus what it felt like for a long time.
Yeah, and I do think it's comforting to that part. The way that I'm just telling you the story right now does help whatever part is like feeling like, am I crazy? It's kind of like, well, we do have somewhat of a story.
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah. And that's what I'm hearing as well, as that as much as, I hear the parts that feel like it's a bit of a mystery and almost sort of like what the fuck? How does that get to work like that? And I'm hearing you connect a lot of those dots or add in a few more puzzle pieces of, well, actually, this is what was happening. This was after my second trip to Vietnam. This was actually after discovering some dietary relations to those sensations. And then maybe it's not a complete mystery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if it comes back, we'll be paying attention because we are still paying attention. So.
Of course. Yeah. And do you have a pretty good idea of who's paying attention to that?
I think that's self. I think that's been one of the gifts of, maybe the biggest gift of IFS to me, is the physical care.
Looking out. Yeah. Being in tune and in touch with that. Yeah. And what feels right to you now? I know we touched on a couple of parts there.
So right would feel like getting back to, okay, so what does this part need? Whether that's in the moment or the night before or something, what does it need? Is it on board with like First, is it on board with, okay, we should get 7 hours, and what does it need from me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if that feels like the best next place to go, I'm absolutely open to that. I'm also curious to understand a little bit more of how long this part's been functioning in this way.
Okay.
If it's open to that, you might already know, and you might have already covered that with this part.
I think it was there. It was also eager to get the day started back when I was waking up not feeling well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been there for, I don't know, 6 or so years, I think, which is about when I kind of stopped drinking and also started. Yeah, I decided to do valuable things
Right.
with my life, and particularly at the start of my days.
Right, where there was a little bit more intentionality
Mm-hmm.
to how you wanted your days to look.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it has
that
been
makes
such a struggle, not just with the sick stuff, but with like figuring out my own circadian rhythm and what
Mhm.
habits do I want. And I put way too many habits on my plate to try to get done in this first hour or two. So it's taken years. And this part was kind of just, it was the pusher part, I think,
Mhm.
for like, okay, but we need to have this big energy. And then for years, it was kind of weighted down by either,
Balance.
wrong
Yeah.
timing, feeling sick, or this isn't the right, something's not right with my intention here. Too much stuff going on, etc.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. But this part was the pusher part of big bursts of energy.
Right.
Let's get after it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how effective has it felt in that job now or in more recent times?
Yeah, it has kind of a false sense of effectiveness. Like, it's like, well, look, I get you up and ready to run, and it's kind of like, that's true. You wake me up, but it's not like if I sleep in. If I say sleep in, if I get my 7.5 hours or whatever, I still get up with energy. Like,
Right.
there aren't days where I'm just laying in bed all day. So
Yeah. And that all sounds right to me, but let's just go back to that part for a minute of
I was saying it
feeling,
recognizes its own, like, it seems like it's effective, but it also recognizes that it's not
the only way to
it's
be
not actually
effective.
buying me any more time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that if it doesn't work as hard, it doesn't mean that I'm gonna not get out of bed.
But there is a push that it feels to do that for you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Again, I think that's from historical. Yeah.
Check that out with the part. See if that sounds right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any idea how this part is noticing you now, specifically how old it thinks you are?
Well, the first thing that came to mind about noticing me was it felt like I am a lot bigger than it.
Okay, yeah.
How old does it think I am? 29 something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of back in that time of me starting to decide to get my life together and live more intentionally.
Yeah.
And I needed a big boost of energy somewhere in my day.
Right. Yeah. So let it know that makes sense to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that you can see that. And if it feels right to do a bit more updating, like we did before, of whatever feels right to show it, to bring it up to speed and up to date. And see how it can take that in.
Mm-hmm. It's good.
Yeah. And I heard it mentioned that it feels like you're a lot bigger than it.
Yeah, in a good way.
Okay. Yeah. I was going to ask how that felt for it.
Yep. In kind of typical protector realization way, where it's when it's doing its job, it thinks it's
the biggest person
the
in the
biggest
room.
one,
Yeah.
and it's the most important and really needs to rouse the rest of the system, and then it realizes that it's not.
Yeah. There's you here as well. And I feel like we have a pretty good idea of this, but in case it wants to solidify a little bit more of what it wants for you.
It mostly wants it's saying kind of like, okay, maybe I could relax, and maybe you will, things won't fall apart if you do it your way instead of with this big boost of energy in the morning thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it really wants to be sure that I'm not losing sight of those things that used to cost me, and that I kind of, it feels like it can only relax if somebody stays vigilant about, uh, am I feeling shitty because I'm sick in the mornings, or any of these other things.
Any of the other things, meaning things that get in the way of being
things that got in the way,
productive and intentional. And
I just am listing some of those for myself just to be really clear and make sure we're looking out for that.
Yeah. Let it see that you're doing that. Those things are important to you.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And seeing them on a list helps, because it's like, well, are all these things where you want them to be? I feel myself already kind of, oh, here's a way I could address that even more to take the load off of this part.
Yeah.
Yep.
And what else might this part need from you?
Yeah. And again, I'm making a list of little to-do items, but I'm not feeling much like emotionally that it's asking for, or yeah.
Yeah, it just wants to know that someone's looking
That-
out for these things.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And this is just a suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
Can feel free to shoot it down, but
Mm-hmm.
would it be helpful to this part more of those sort of updates of why you were able to make that shift, why those changes happened, or how they happened? Is that type of information helpful to this part to know that someone's looking out for how those ailments came about and how they went away and how these habits came about and how they might go away?
Yes, I think that's a great suggestion.
Great.
Yeah. And it's one I have thought about, and that I do want to revisit, how I can do that with this part.
Yeah, that can be an ongoing
Mm-hmm.
discovery that you have together, and possibly with other parts that are involved in that.
Yeah.
And so I know I heard this part earlier say that it doesn't think that everything would necessarily fall apart if it didn't do what it's doing. It sees that if we sleep till a full 7 or 8 hours, that
Mm-hmm.
things get done and you're productive, but
More productive.
more productive even. I can
Mm-hmm.
see that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what other concerns might it have about if it were to stop doing this job in the particular way that it's doing it?
Okay. I'm not getting any. Again, we've already, and I haven't shared it all with you, but there are little ideas and the stuff I'm putting on my list here of like, it wants to make sure I do this and this and this, but it's all
Got it.
pretty little logistical kind of things.
Got it. Yeah. So it's feeling pretty addressed in that department
Yes.
and pretty understood by you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Does it have any ideas of what it would like to do with its energy in the system? If it were to be a little bit more freed up in this department?
Yeah, it says it doesn't know, but it can leave that question open, and maybe there's some other point in my day or something where it would like to kick in.
Yeah. Yeah, that it might even like being invited in at certain times.
Mm-hmm.
Might check that out with it and see how that would feel.
Yeah.
And does it feel pretty clear how you may get in touch with this part again?
Yes.
Great.
Yeah. Yep. We're kind of, especially if it happens again tomorrow, if it does kind of show up, which, you know, it very well could.
Mm-hmm.
We're just kind of envisioning how we'll meet and kind of review this stuff.
Yeah, and I would imagine now that you have gotten more clear on its concerns and its role, the specifics that you've been listing of, active things that this part has its eye on. And you've got your eyes on those things now too. That might be helpful for it to feel a little less urgent.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Feels good.
Huge thank you to this part for sharing what it shared with us, and also just circling back to the part that we touched base in quickly for, there possibly being no big concern or no big reason here. And just want to see how that one's feeling about how this went.
Oh, yes. That one says, okay, you're right. Good job.
Good job to that part too for stepping back and letting us know its concerns.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How are you feeling?
Good. There is more clarity here, and yeah, it feels good.
Yeah.
I do have one just kind of funny thing related that I'd like to share.
Awesome.
Which is sometimes some of the best, when I am woken up by this part, one of the best ways for me to get back to sleep, or that I've tried a couple of times, is I'll reach over and I'll start playing live IFS. And normally that's not, like I listen really closely when I listen back, but I think it's a reminder to me of like, well, this is what's important to me.
Yeah.
So that actually, we don't actually need to get up at 5 o'clock to do a podcast.
Know that we're doing
or
that.
Doing IFS and doing this project is so important to me, and it's a reminder that like that's fine, that's later in the day, and the best thing we can do for that is get back to sleep,
and that it's happening, it's there, it's in the works, that's really interesting. I feel like that actually kind of helped connect a dot for me, oddly enough. There's if you don't mind, I'll elaborate a little bit.
Go ahead.
There's something very soothing for parts of mine listening into live IFS, and sort of similar but opposite. It's more like when I'm going to bed and parts feel kind of restless, like they don't quite want to go to bed yet, and they kind of want to keep being creative or keep chipping away at things. And that tuning into live IFS, it's this is the dot that was sort of connected. It's like that's exactly what it's doing. It's kind of calming that part of me that's like, hey, we want to get things done. We want to do big things. We want to go after the projects and the creativity. And there's something soothing about that. So that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. We'll see if that changes when you're the practitioner.
Yeah. It's all an experiment. It's all an interesting experiment. Yeah, that's great.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thank you. You did good. I have positive feedback for you.
I would love to hear any and all feedback.
I would like
to
share that. Yeah, a little later.
Yeah.
So I'll jumble it all together
welcome.
and say it all wrong if I try to do it right now.
No worries. Yeah. No, thank you for creating the time and being open to this. And any feedback at any time is super welcome.
Great. Cool.
Yeah, thank you, James.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Hope you have a good day.
Okay. You too. Talk to you later.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. Do you want to help bring more self-energy to the world? If you'd like to participate in calls or help out with this project in any way, I'd love to hear your ideas. Join the Discord server or contact me at james@liveifs.com. A huge thanks to our audio engineer, Yvonne, for your care and diligence in editing the calls. To every caller for your courage in sharing some of your parts. And to anyone out there getting to know their internal system, keep going. Who knows? That might be the most selfless, helpful thing you can do for others, and you're the only one who can do it. If you'd like to see us reach the largest audience, we must please the almighty suggestion algorithms at iTunes and YouTube. And they don't care about the power of IFS. They're looking for likes and shares and comments, and the sooner the better. Follow the links in the show notes right here in your podcast player to make your wishes known. And now, a minute of meditation. Or if you prefer, pull over. You can do it in 60 seconds. Just click one of those links. They're right there, and give us a like or a 5-star rating. It would really help. If you think this project is helping people, you're helping people by sharing it. Thank you.